it started off with me showing up for you. Now that we've completed this training throughout our time together, I've learned that the most important thing is I need to show up for me.
I always tell people 80-20 is the best, but most people are 20-80. They do a couple of things and they go, oh, I'm being healthy and I'm doing this. And it's like, that's not the best way to tackle it. What's going on, everyone? So I have a very, very special guest today. Alex Albino is with me.
Hi.
Hello. So I was very excited about this. You not so much. Doesn't maybe like you like this type of attention. It's fine. It's just you've never done a podcast before.
No, never. First time.
Oh, sweet. So
never been on camera, really.
Yeah, I have. So not really. So what I wanted to talk about with you today is something really important because you'd be the first person that we've had on that went through a specific training regimen, like very, very specific for 4 months. We knew that we were going to work with you for 4 months.
Right.
And you had done the SF Strong Body 48, which is 48 hours. So when you see that number at the end, it's just the amount of hours that we had together,
All right.
in that time. And for you, it was 48. And in that time, we were able to get you from almost about 160 pounds,
Right.
158 pounds, down to 140 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
And when you came in, you're almost 29% body fat,
Right.
down to 21% body fat. And that's a difficult thing to do coming from, well, it's just difficult for anybody to do.
Right.
But in your case, I think difficult because of you had a couple of things that you had said to me, and I will mention. One of which you had said to me that I've never had to deal with this type of stuff.
Right.
You said, I have never had to take my health into my own hands type of thing. You said it was more of like, I've never had this amount of responsibility on my health before or wanted this amount of responsibility. So can you kind of tell me, what you meant, by that?
Well, yes. So before I started coming to your facility, I was pretty overweight. Wasn't always. I was always, pretty average sized, but after being in a long-term 7-year relationship, you get comfortable, you get lazy, and I was pushing 192 pounds. I don't even want to know what my body fat percentage was because it was probably real high. Mm-hmm. I'm only 5'4". Didn't look that great.
Well, it's not what you wanted. It's not what you wanted.
No, and I felt terrible too. Like I even when I went to sleep at night laying down on my back, I just felt like I had just so much weight pressing down on me. And, it wasn't just that I wasn't being active, but I was severely overeating. Like, I love food. That's definitely the hardest thing for me is I feel like I have such a big appetite. Like, my current partner is a 6'4", 290 pounds. He eats a ton of calories, and I swear to God, I could keep up with him easily if I could.
If you could, but you're not.
But I can't.
Yeah.
Unless I want to be pushing 200 pounds again. So showing up and doing the workouts for me is easy. I like it.
Yeah.
I like lifting weights. I love my squats.
Yeah.
But it's the diet that's definitely the hardest. But I find when I started coming here and actually started tracking what I was eating, you really realize what you're putting into your body, not even just caloric wise, but the fat, the carbs. I definitely was not meeting my protein and I was surpassing my fat way, 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 way too much. So
big time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Big time. With that, with you, it was nice because I think with the nutritional portion, like you said, you like to work out, like you like to come in and train.
Yeah.
And I think it was the consistency and having the accountability,
right?
Here. And I remember seeing you post, was it Bristol Talks? Something to
Yeah, Bristol Talks.
It was Bristol Talks. So it's Bristol Talks, one of the very
That's
few.
how I found this place.
One of the, So, and it was, we came highly recommended. There was a lot of people who came highly recommended. There was really good facilities. And then we came highly recommended. I remember our conversation. You were gonna go to another gym, and then you were like, "No, I already know I want to go."
Yeah,
with you guys.
I did go do the consultation, by the way, but after that, I was like, "Nah, I'm going to see Ben."
Yeah, I was like, I knew it, but it was a really good connection with you and I. I kind of knew I was like, she's gonna work, and I'm not. I don't want to say this, and I say this, like, I know what I'm not gonna waste my fucking time with.
Right.
Like some people, we're at a point in our careers where it's like, or in my career at least, as a trainer, as a coach, I can go, okay, she's serious. I can tell by one, her commitment. Two, she came in here with a credit card on fire, like, take it. And I need to do this. And you had said, you're like, this will hold me accountable.
Right.
I remember you saying that. You're like, this will hold me accountable. And I was upset the times where we couldn't train because like you are such a pleasure to train.
I keep getting sick, by the way.
Yeah,
that's what he means.
She had been sick for a little bit, but it's nothing crazy. But you are a pleasure to train because you will, like, you know that it's like, I'm not going to give you anything that's going to be like this awful, thing that's going to sink you, even though sometimes, we have, gone very heavy and pushed it to that thing, but that was the purpose.
Right.
So, seeing that I'm at the point where I get to work with people like you that really put their best effort forward, like that 100%.
Yeah.
And you knew that you liked to train. It was more of the accountability of like, who's going to be here waiting for me, which was nice.
That was very important for me too, by the way. As much as I do like to train, knowing that I had somebody I couldn't let down.
Accountability.
But other than myself, right? And, I was thinking what I was going to talk about on my drive here, and that was actually the biggest thing. I was like, it started off with me showing up for you because I knew that I had invested in this training. I knew that I couldn't waste it. I knew that I was doing it for myself, but I was like, I can't let Ben down. I got to show up. But now that we've completed this training throughout our time together, I've learned that the most important thing is I need to show up for me. Now I've got nobody that's going to be waiting for me. I gotta wake up and be like, all right, I'm going to do this today. I got to do this for me. I got to be strong for myself, and it's not even just about looking a certain way. When I started coming here and when we had our consultation, I told you specifically, I want to look good, but it was mostly that I wanted to be healthy and I wanted to be strong.
Yeah, it was when you had said that, I knew eventually it would come full circle, like a Yoda moment. I know that it was a Yoda moment for me because I knew like eventually everybody wants that. They want to look good. They want to take their clothes off and feel good. They want to feel sexy, confident, and strong. Mm-hmm. There's nothing wrong with that. I think that's a weird thing to not want.
Right.
But what we also want is body competence.
Mm-hmm.
We want you to feel confident when you go to do something. You're like, oh, well, I could do that. That's not bad. Or go
I thought too, though, if you do the right things, that comes with the territory. If you're eating well, and you're training and you're doing what you have to do, you'll see the changes. I actually just came across some photos on my phone that I took of myself before I started coming here. And I was shocked.
Yeah.
And I was really glad that I took those photos. I was looking through my pictures just last night. I was out with my boyfriend and his mother, and I feel like I was looking for dog pictures, to be completely honest, of my cute, adorable German Shepherd. But then I came across those old photos, those before photos that I took, and I was like, wow. Like, it's not even, like, obviously I've lost some weight from then to now, but just the changes that I noticed in my body overall, just, like, my muscles and just where I was holding weight and even just, like, my posture. Yeah. My face, especially. Yeah. I was like, that's wild.
Well, you had when we did your assessment, you had we do assessments with everybody when they come in. And we make sure, and a lot of people think this. They think that we're taking the pictures, because I have to say this. I'm like, we're not taking a picture of like your body with body fat, like body fat. We're taking them to make sure we can see, are you slouching heavy? Can you get your hands over your head? Can you squat down without your knees smashing in or turning out? Or, what's an internally rotated, what's externally rotated? What's over, done and what needs to be kind of double down on, which is why, we went through this method. But for you, like, those pictures of you are important to see, anybody to see when you go through this large change where you put in a lot of effort. So you have this thing where you put in, a lot of effort into something and you got a lot back, which is great. But some people, they don't put in a ton of effort and they can't look at those pictures because they're like, I don't really see it. But I know you see it because everybody can see it.
Yeah.
We should share those photos. We really should.
Yeah.
We should. We really should put those up. I always say this to our editor. I'm like, Megan, put those up on the screen, and I never give her the things. I think we have to give her these ones.
Yeah.
So working through some of those movements and some of those trainings for you was great, because what we did was we worked through large compound movements. The strong body that we have is based off of, the squat, the lunge, heavy carry, hinging, the push, the pull, things that are going to be like that.
Really good methods.
Yeah, really
they work.
Yeah, really good large compound movements. She didn't want to do one thing though.
Lunges.
So, that was one of the big movements, but
I hate lunges.
I think if we would have programmed sweat, like making sure she got her cardiovascular work in, it would have been different. But she didn't want to do a ton of cardiovascular work. And it was also true because you don't want to scare somebody off, but I strongly recommended it. But for right now, it's like she really wanted to take a deep dive into the strength stuff. And we did.
Right.
And we killed it.
Right.
I mean, you went from being able to lunge 10s to being able to lunge, 40s, which is, a lot of weight.
Yep.
You went from, squatting something like 75 pounds to now 175 pounds, so that's really nice to see,
Right.
So
no, and that's really what I wanted to do the most. You're right. I know
it's strong as fuck.
Cardio is very important, and I plan on doing that now that I'm going to be making my own little program for myself. I was coming here 3 times a week. Now that I'm going to be doing it on my own, I am going to try to push for that 4th day and focus on cardio.
Yeah, and you'll be amazed, Alex, how much you don't have to do. I know this sounds weird, but if you focus on those 3 days, and then you just add a day of cardiorespiratory stuff,
right?
It doesn't have to be for an hour. It's like 30 minutes,
right?
And if you hit that and you do that consistently until you die, and for the rest of your life, and if you do that, you then can see the long-term benefits,
right?
And that's what's so nice about it, because it's about the consistency, of doing everything. So for you, you've already been consistent. You want to show up for yourself because you realize the importance of showing up for yourself. And I like how you said that. You're showing up for somebody else because at the time you weren't enough to show up for.
Yep.
And then you were like, hey, cool story, bro. I need to show up for myself now. Yeah. And I love that. That's huge.
I think the most important thing for me too is confidence. Learning these movements, learning how to lift safely and effectively, and helping, having you help me build confidence in myself, knowing that I know what I'm doing. I don't have to feel fear walking into a gym and going over to a squat rack and loading up the plates. I don't care if people are watching. And by the way, they're not.
Yeah.
Nobody cares.
Nobody gives a shit.
Nobody cares.
Yeah,
everyone's focused on themselves and what they're doing. But, knowing what to do, having a plan, not just showing up. You need a plan.
Yeah, you definitely do.
That's the most important thing. Having a plan, knowing what you're doing, it gives you confidence in yourself, and then you don't give a shit, and you're just like, all right, I know what I'm here to do, so let's get it done.
Yeah, that's very true. And so the gym for you and the trainings for us were, the easiest part. And for me, it's the same too. The nutritional side of it for you is something that I think we both knew that it was going to be
it's a challenge.
A challenge.
It's a challenge.
So I had Alex track her food, which is very popular now, but it wasn't, way back in the day. So we like I said, we talk about this a lot on all of the podcasts, tracking our food. And I hate to sound like this, but it works really nicely to find out what you're able to eat.
It does.
Now, you are also, you say 5'3", you're 5'3".
5'4".
5'4", 5'4", ish. And 5'3",
Shorty.
Shorty. So you have that. But it also is, I've trained a lot of females, and what they do is they will cut their calories so much. They'll cut them to like 1,200 calories.
No, that's insane.
13. But they're 5'4" or whatever, and they see their strength plummet. They see all of these gains. They look very flat. They don't look very muscular. They cut those calories down so much. They eat really low nutrient dense foods and go with, like the stereotypical bodybuilding physique, bikini competitor stuff.
Yeah.
And I've been waiting for that culture to kind of die off. And it's close. I mean, we're so close because now we have proper information that's getting to everybody in the masses with coaches that know way more than I do and really, really focus on nutrient dense foods.
Yeah.
And Alex was eating 15, 16, 1650, 1700 calories, throughout that. And our algorithm will slowly work with you and eventually kind of find out where you're supposed to be.
Right.
So I got to see somebody perform well in a caloric deficit, in a caloric deficit. And, she dabbled on some of the weekends and had some fun. That's why I said you tracked about 80, 90%.
Pizza and beer is my downfall.
Oh, darn. What a terrible, that sounds, that's fine. It's good. It's totally fine.
And honestly, my boyfriend's mom, she's the enabler.
It's her fault.
It's her fault.
It's her fault.
It is. I'm blaming her. That you hear that, Michelle, that this goes out to you. I love you, but come on, damn it.
It is your fault for her drinking and her eating these pizzas.
When I move to Ohio and I don't have family enabling me to eat and drink, I think I'll do a bit better.
You're just going to be just ripped. You're just gonna be
I hope so.
Super jacked.
That's the goal.
That is a good goal. That's a good goal to have. So the nutritional side, like you were saying, it was the hardest. But I got to see you really flourish with that. I got to see you just kill it.
Yeah.
And it was so nice to see. She would be excited for those weigh-ins because she knew that you did the work. And I think it's like if you did a good job on your homework, if you did a good job on your test, you're not so scared about taking that test.
No.
And I've had people where I've told not to use the scale. Like our previous episode, we had somebody on where we didn't weigh her in for a year.
Really?
Now, but that's what she needed. That's what's so great about this. This is different.
Right.
This is a different style, and you can attach it. Like you needed the scale because that's what was going to keep you accountable. You needed somebody else to be there. That's what was going to keep you accountable.
Right.
And so we were able to use those two things to keep your ass in check, for sure. So having those things on was great. And pizza and beer, dude, it's like, I get it.
Pizza and beer is life.
I don't get pizza. I like tacos and bourbon. I can go with tacos and bourbon.
Really?
I'm a tacos and bourbon guy.
You don't do pizza and beer?
They
go so well together.
They do, but it's just like bread and bread.
It's just
You're
carbs. It's bad.
You're literally just washing the pizza in your mouth with more bread, which is what beer
liquid
is.
Bread.
Liquid bread. Bread with bread. Which I get it. It is good.
Oh, it's so bad.
And in Connecticut, we have banging pizza.
We do.
It's pretty nice.
Yeah. We're lucky.
Yeah. I mean, pizza and taxes. It's like two of our favorite.
I had pizza in California a couple of years ago, and it was terrible.
It was bad. Yeah.
Just so you people know how lucky we are.
We are.
They have great tacos, though.
Somebody said, I think on Barstool, the guy was like shitting on Connecticut. He was like, it's terrible. Connecticut's awful. And no, somebody said it on something, but I think it's Barstool. And I was like, dude, like Connecticut, of course, it does suck. We have like crazy hot summers.
Yeah.
So cold winters, get bombed in the winter, although we hadn't been until literally yesterday or the day before. And then we have all these things, but we do have banging pizza.
We do.
Yeah, we have that. So we at least have that. And like New York for a while was like, yeah, us. And we're like, nah, cool story. So pizza is banging, but I get it. It just wasn't my thing. I think it's like after a while you find out like what's worth it.
Right.
So if I go tacos, right? The cool thing about tacos is you have the meats and stuff in there.
Yeah.
So you're going to get some protein out of it.
Yep.
I guess maybe it's my way of being like, oh, it's not as bad. Yeah, but when you eat 15 tacos, yeah, it's bad. And that's what I would do.
Yeah.
But so pizza, I used to crush pizza.
Yeah.
And then after a while, I just started playing like the game of like, is this worth it? And the game we play, it's like find the protein.
Right.
There's not a ton.
No.
And you can go, hey, I'll put pepperoni on that. It's like, yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
That's not going to be the good source of that.
Yeah. Chicken bacon ranch, though.
Oh, yeah.
It's
chicken.
good.
It is good.
It's got chicken. There's your protein.
Chicken, bacon. It's the ranch, though.
I
the
know.
ranch is so good.
It's
and then you just
so
dip it
good,
in.
but it's so bad.
And you just dip it in more ranch.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's that's a rough pizza.
It's my favorite.
That's a emotional eating day pizza.
Yeah.
And now I want pizza. We've said
I know,
it so much.
I know.
So So the food portion, I loved that you got that down. Despite the pizza and beer thing, I think it's like that's what's so great about balance.
Yeah.
It's like 80% of the time.
You got to live a little.
No, you're on your shit.
Because if you're too strict, then you're going to fail.
And I agree with you. I think it's like and that's what the 80-20 rule was about.
Right. It's a good rule.
It's so then that way it's like you can still go out with people you love. You still can go out and have fun. Now, if you want to manipulate your body with the way to do it was with calories, however serious you are is the good question. Now you have people 80-20 is the minimal.
Right.
Is the minimal amount you can do it with still caring that your body is changing. Like your body's going to change too. Now you can go up a little bit and be a little bit more strict for shorter periods of time. And if you want your body to change, and you know that.
Right.
So I always tell people 80-20 is the best, but most people are 20-80.
Yeah.
They do a couple of things and they go, oh, I'm being healthy and I'm doing this. And it's like, that's not the best way to tackle it, in my opinion. I think it's important to kind of go off of what is going to be, what was your biggest motivator? What was your biggest, thing that helped you stay focused for yourself? Like, where were you like, this is what I need to be doing?
Well, for me personally, revisiting, before I started coming here and I was like very overweight, I just knew in my mind I never wanted to get back to that point. Not only did I just not like how I looked, but I especially didn't like how I felt. It wasn't a good feeling. Even just like outgrowing all of your clothes, having to go to the store and buy larger sizes. And I even still had a ton of clothes like in my dresser that just I was nowhere near fitting into like ever again. And now at this point, since my weight has fluctuated so much, I've got a ton that are still a little small and a ton that are way too big. And
now you're like in the middle.
Now I am in the middle.
Yeah.
But, even, going back to when I was, very thin, like when I was 19, I was at my smallest. No idea what my body fat percentage was, but I was 135 pounds and I'm very close to being at that point again. But I'll look at old photos and I was like very thin and I had no muscle, that's not what I want to be at.
You look very fit.
Yeah. And that's what I've learned is that like, I want to be fit. I want to be strong. So that's definitely a motivator for me too, is again, just like looking back at how much my body has changed from being very thin to overweight to now in the middle. Like I feel like I look the best. I feel the strongest. I have more energy. Like, I don't know. It just feels good getting up and having that plan, knowing what I want to do, knowing that I gotta get up, go to the gym, lift my weights, eat well. Again, just going back to having a plan, I guess.
Yeah.
Having a plan, I find, is most important because if you have goals that you want to crush and you have a plan to help you get to that point, I think that's most important.
Yeah, I agree. I think being able to have some contrast or have a comparison when you're young, I try to tell a lot of clients, like, it's hard to compare yourself when you're like 19 and 20 and when you're really young, because
Right.
It's like the chances are you're not. Some people are. They spend a lot of time on like staying disciplined and stuff, but in your case it was like you're coming from a lifestyle maybe that didn't support your strength, being fit, being this, and then going into a relationship, if you are in a relationship and you start to realize that you become very comfortable and you start making easier choices so you can spend more time together, and then it kind of snowballs. And then when it does, then when you're out of it, then you notice those things, you can look back. And I think that's valuable because everybody should be screwing up in their 20s. I think it's like
Right.
it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But the sooner you come to that realization, a lot of the times it can be better, because then you can go, okay, hey, I didn't like that. I know I didn't like that.
I
didn't
not.
like this. And now you being as strong as you are and as fit as you are and as confident as you are is huge, to be able to do that. So I think you should be very proud of yourself with that.
Thank you.
Yeah. So just one question, and I promise I'll let you go. We'll close, I promise. If you could say something to somebody that's just getting started, what would you tell them?
You need to know what it is that you want. You need to know in your mind what your end goal is. And even if you don't know what path to take to get to that ending point, you still need to know what your purpose is, why you're starting, what you want to get out of it, you know, what you want to get out of the gym, whether it's your relationship with yourself, your relationship with food. You know, that again was my biggest struggle. But just know what it is that you want and surround yourself with people that can help you stay on track, that can encourage you, that just keep you on the right path, you know, because if you're surrounding yourself with negative people or people that aren't going to support you in your goals, it makes it a lot easier to veer off that path.
That is very true.
I found that out the hard way, you know.
That's very true.
Yeah.
You find out who you can share good news with.
Right.
You know, and I had mentioned out with somebody, and he had done something that was really hard to do.
Yeah.
And then when he shared it with me, I was just so excited, you know, for him. And he goes, I need you to know how rare it is to have somebody that you can share good news with and them be genuinely and excited for you.
Right.
So, and I know what it's like in your situation to have people who might not be so happy about your progress.
Mm-hmm.
So having a plan and knowing what you want from him is huge. And that's really big. And you did that. You executed that perfectly. You know, you really did. You stayed on that and you were like, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to get out of it. I want to be stronger. I remember, you know, you like, hey, I want to be stronger in my squat. I want to be stronger. You know, my deadlift, I just love lifting and it's great. And now for you to find what was going to support that, sleep, rest, recovery, proper nutritional information, and just overall lifting guidance, you know, was great. And then you to be able to do that in 4 months, I'm really, really excited to see what you do. And I think that this is a good opportunity for myself to talk to some of the coaches and the trainers. When you have a client, there's certain clients you're going to retain for a long time.
Right.
You're just like, I've had clients I've had for 10 years.
That's awesome.
I've had clients I've had for 5 years, 6 years, whatever. And I am proud that I can create a relationship, an environment where they're going to keep coming back.
Yeah.
I love that. But strength trainers, coaches, trainers, you know, it is important to know that some people you're going to have, you're going to teach, and then you get the pleasure of sending them off and watching them grow and see what they've done, what they can do and learn and where they're going to go. And our jobs is to know sometimes when to let go and go, hey, this is a very valuable experience.
Right.
And it's not always about just strangling somebody financially and being like, oh, you should let me program with you more and like try to do all this other stuff. Like, by the way, if you ever need a program, just let me know. I could totally help. But the idea is that it's really hard for a lot of those coaches and trainers to kind of let go, because now all of a sudden it's like, they're like, oh, I don't have that person anymore. It's like, but that's good, because now they get to go out and you get to see them do things. You become a cheerleader from the side.
Right.
Like you get to be like, this is sick. So it's a good opportunity for me that I get to, you know, watch you grow and then go do all this cool shit and really enjoy it.
You'll have more people come.
Oh, yeah. No, I already know.
Word of mouth is a very powerful thing, and it goes to show, I mean, that's how I ended up here. You know? I looked for recommendations, and you by far had the most.
Yeah, thank you.
I did look into it. I checked out a few places, but, you know, as soon as I met Ben, I was like, yeah, no, this is it. He's a cool guy.
Of course I am. Of course I am. It's thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
It was more about, like, I think having that attitude for a long time for me, like to be able to be a cheerleader.
Yeah.
Instead of like being like, fuck them. They left me. They went to another coach or another gym. It's like, I get excited, period.
Yeah.
Like just seeing people lift. And I have so many clients that I've seen do well, and I get just excited for it.
Yeah.
So it's just like keeping that excitement on why you started. Like for me, that's why I started, because I wanted to be like, this is fun, you know, and I get to make money doing all this fun stuff. So,
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So thank you so much for doing this.
Of course.
I really appreciate it. And thank you, everybody. If you are interested in those SF Strong Body packages, like I said, we have them. You are more than welcome. I recommend at least 3 months and 3 days a week if you are going to do that method. But some people need to be thrown into a little bit more cardiovascular, cardiorespiratory training.
Noted.
So it'd be good just to add that one day. And 4 to 5 days a week is to me,
right,
for a lot of the, for an athlete, it'd be very different. You know, we're talking like 6 days a week would make sense. And then having that recovery day. But for most people, we plan 3 to 5 days a week, and that would be the maximum amount we would do.
Right.
So thank you so much. Thank you so much. Go hit like, go hit subscribe, tell your friends, let everybody know. And we will see you guys all later. Bye.
Peace.
Peace.